go back to our international segment now. The Big Five, New Zealand, Australia, England, Jamaica and South Africa have all featured at every Commonwealth Games since netball was included, but we tend to forget that so has Barbados, and Jenny has more.
My pleasure to be here with Nisha Craigwell, the manager of the Barbados netball team. Nisha, thank you very much for your time.
I thank you for having me. I'm indeed delighted to be here with you.
Look, the interesting thing about Barbados is they have been at every Commonwealth Games since netball was admitted in 1998. How have you managed that?
Yeah, so we actually aim to be at every Commonwealth. This time around is a bit more difficult, but we really focus on our ranking to ensure that whenever Commonwealth Games comes around, we're in the top 12 countries in the nation. This time around is a bit scary. We almost did not make it, but thankfully our girls really pulled through, and we're here, we're ready, we're practicing, we're excited, we're getting prepared to be in Birmingham.
Now, you mentioned that so important ranking. How did you manage to keep it up? Because it's all about playing tests, isn't it?
Yes, it is. So we've journeyed to Scotland in the cold in November, going into December, and then we were at the OECS Games in February, where we played other teams here in the region, and that very important point took us from 13th to 12th, and we were able to really seal the deal. So we were ranked 13th when it was cut off, and we barely made it just because Zimbabwe, the country that was ranked ahead of us, is not a Commonwealth nation. So we went that close to not making it. So we are so thankful to be part of these games.
Well, talking about living on the edge, that's yeah. Brilliant. Now tell me about your team. Have you picked your team yet, or what's the position from here on in?
No, our team has not been chosen as yet. They're still very much a squad and not necessarily a team, because we still have in excess of 20 girls in training. As a matter of fact, they're training as we speak this evening. So we have not announced our team. We're still narrowing it down to make sure that we have the best team available to us. What I must mention, though, we do have two players that I'm sure I can mention their names because they will be there for sure. That's our current captain, Latonia Blackman, who has in excess of 150 caps. And then we have Shauna Azor Bruce, and she has just passed the 100th mark. So very experienced players, and I'm sure they will be with us in Birmingham.
Well, I can't imagine a Barbados team without Latonia Blackman in particular. Yes. Tell me about her. I mean, how has she managed to stay so long in the game?
She's just a beautiful player. She's been with us from age 16. She's been to several World Cups. I've actually lost count, and she leads the team from out front. She's an excellent. She has played every position, so she has that record of playing every position for Barbados. You're not going to find many teams or many countries who has a player who can play at the international level and be outstanding and at all 7 positions on the court. But she does have that record.
Now, I'm thinking too, particularly about shooters, perhaps. Do you have, I think Azor Bruce is a shooter, isn't she?
No, she's actually a defender. Yes. I think you might be speaking about Shanika Wharton. So you have the S's mixed up, yes. So Shanika Wharton is still very much a part of the squad. I believe we were calling her the long bomb shooter in the last netball World Cup, because as long as she gets the ball, she just turns and she shoots. She's not the type of player who looks for a pass under the pole. She's very accurate. So as long as she has a foot in the circle, she's ready to shoot.
And how do you think your chances, as you mentioned, you've qualified, last cab off the rank. How do you think you'll go? I know it's difficult given that you haven't selected your final team, but what are your thoughts?
Well, we have as good a shot as any other team. We're coming in as the lowest ranked team at number 12, but we are coming with a fighting chance to really improve, and our players are, as I said, we have a good mixture of experienced players, but we also have some very young players who are extremely talented. They represent Barbados in other sports. So we have some person just won a Carifta. This is athletics silver medal just around Easter. We have persons who represented Barbados in basketball. So we have versatile players who are gifted athletes. So our chances are as good as any because they're team players. They fight to the very end. So I'm sure that we will be a force to reckon with in Birmingham.
Look, one thing I will ask you about, and I know it's a common problem for netball all over the world, and that's money, funding. How hard is it for you or your team to get to Birmingham?
I must say that the government of Barbados and the Barbados Olympic Association, they very much support our team as it relates to getting to Birmingham. It is fully sponsored, we're being fully supported by our Barbados Olympic Association. So for us, it was to qualify, and the Barbados Olympic Association took the tab up. And netball is the highest ranked team sport in Barbados, and we are the largest female sport. So we do get lots of support here. And I believe that because of our track record, we've been doing extremely well. We try to get up in the top 10 at all times. We really get the support of the public and the government. So we rely heavily on those entities, the Barbados Olympic Association and the National Sports Council, to get us to our tournaments.
So I wonder then, Nisha, is it easier perhaps to get to the Commonwealth Games than it might be to get, if you qualify, to the World Cup?
Yes, it is easier to get to Commonwealth Games because it is fully sponsored, fully supported by the Olympic Association. Netball World Cup, even though we do get support from both entities, it is not that it's mandatory for them to really support us. But again, because of our track record, they really do put a lot of support into netball.
Well, Nisha, I am really looking forward to seeing you and the rest of the Barbados team in July. Thank you so much for your time.
And thank you for having us. See you in Birmingham.